So again, if you wouldn't mind telling me what you think is going on, what's her story?
Ooh, it doesn't look like a good one. Yeah, she looks like she has a hard life. I get the sense that this is a place that she lives. Not that she's a maid, but that this is a place. This is her life, and it's not pretty. It looks, very poverty-stricken. It looks like there's a lot. It's dirty. It's not safe, and that her world is very, very closed in, and that she's kind of trapped and angry.
Okay. So if I were to say, is she happy with her life right now?
No.
She's not?
I don't think so.
What does she want?
Well, she's got her hands on her hips, and she's kind of in a corner. I mean, it's sort of an interesting, she's not going for the door. She's on the other side of the door, and her hands are on her hips. Either she's maybe had an argument with somebody, husband perhaps, and maybe she's getting ready to grab a coat and leave herself, or give him a coat and tell him to go. She just looks like she's a little fed up, but confrontational. She doesn't seem, she's looking up and directly at somebody. I don't get the sense that she's afraid. I think that her life probably hasn't turned out the way that she's wanted it. Things have maybe gone south, or she expected things would work out. I'm assuming she's married and had expected that they'd be further along in life, or maybe she's had too many kids and just feels very weighted down and is frustrated and fed up with her circumstances the way that they are. She doesn't look like a shrinking violet. She looks ready to either walk or tell this other person to walk.
My premise is that if you were to read and interpret a paragraph in literature or text, that we would have somewhat different interpretations, but by and large not that many. And I believe in a photograph the same is true. So this idea, if I had to nail it down and I had to say, you choose, is she going to be the one? Does she want to leave, or does she want the other person to leave? And you have to choose only one. Choose one.
She wants to leave.
Okay, she wants to leave.
Yeah.
So that when I say she wants to leave, I can't point my camera at, oh, she wants to leave. So I want you to find she wants to leave in the picture.
Well, I think the whole background is light in the background. So, once she opens that door, she's walking out of the dinginess that is the room and going out into something that's more.
So I'm going to call that she has a desire for a better life. Would
Yes.
you go along with that?
Absolutely.
Find the desire for a better life in that picture. Point to the object that is a desire for a better life.
Okay, I would say the hands on the hips and the set of the eyes. The eyes to me are challenging.
Okay, now when you say hand on hip and eyes in that pose, if I say Rosie the Riveter and we can do it, does that strike, is that on or off in terms of how that pose is coming across of that?
It's similar.
It is similar.
It's similar.
Do you think that has anything to do with your reading of she wants to and might be able to?
I wasn't thinking of her specifically, but there is a definite kind of comparison in the two stances of ready to take something on.
Of that we can do it spirit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then the desire for a better life, clearly when you have somebody posed in front of a door, that's going to scream, I want to leave, maybe on one level, right? Okay, but then her own desire for a better life. So she has the shabby corner that she's jammed into, right? That she's into. And her desire to, I'm going to say, elevate herself. Can you find something? Because I'm kind of leading to it. I'm leading.
I'm looking at her facing these coats, that she's in a prime position to just yank one off a hook and then spin right around and leave the door. Open the door and leave.
But we're not sure that she's actually going to leave, right? There's some ambiguity of whether or not she's actually going to leave. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think her look is challenging, so it could go either way.
She has a desire, but it might not go.
It might not go.
She might be here doing this again next week.
She could very well be, right.
How about if I say these boots are made for walking, and that's just what I want to do, and one of these days these boots are going to walk all over you? What do you think her shiny shoes have to do with her desire, her shiny elevated shoes? Do you think I'm reading way too much into that? Or
No, probably not. I think it looks like there's a heel on the shoe, and the shoes don't look as shabby as the rest of her.
Mm-hmm.
The shoes could represent the stuff that she wants more out of life and propel her to take the steps. The stance in the shoe is, I mean, it's a little forward, but it's in a corner. She's not yet at the door.
As you know, we were all taught how to read from an early age. So when the teacher comes along and gives you the ABCs, and then you have string them together, CAT makes cat,
Mm-hmm.
and then we show you the furry pet and link it up with that. Now we know what cat means. So in a photograph, we don't have words. And so all of these different conflicting or complex ideas have to come together. I'm going to do a reading of this image, and you tell me what you think. There is a housewife, she's in a corner. And there's I'm going to say her stance, her head gear, and her arm look to me very much like Rosie the Riveter, which is giving her the idea of she can do it. I'm going to say this time. I get this time because there's kick marks on the door. I'm calling them kick marks. And that I see that it's happened several times. So that's why I say that she is wanting to do it, and she's giving her this idea of I can do it this time. And her shiny shoes give her the promise. It's the desire for a better life, something that's shinier, something that will elevate her out of this situation. But the fact is that she has these dark coats. Dark coats, if you were to read in a paragraph, you know, that doesn't sound good. That sounds ominous, that it's cold, it's raining, there's an umbrella, the coats are dark, it's cold outside, the coats are hanging very high up. It would have to be a high reach for her. And her ceiling is crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me doesn't seem very positive. That what is her ceiling? You know, if somebody asked me, well, what's the ceiling in your career, Gail? I would like to say that it's not crumbling. That to me would say, well, it's not going very far.
Right.
Or the glass ceiling, or the sky's the limit. We do have metaphors, and in photography, these connotations and metaphors add up because we're not using words. That if you open the door, it's very much like don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. She would just be jammed into the corner farther.
Mm-hmm.
Conversely, that shiny doorknob seems like the promise of I want to leave. Is that intriguing? Does that speak to what you're experiencing in our conversation now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is illuminating because there is a lot of things to notice. I had not really interpreted the darkness at the bottom of the door as kick marks. The whole idea of the ceiling crumbling in on her, that's definitely seems how her life is inside these walls. It is dilapidated, and it isn't going anywhere. It almost couldn't be any worse than where she's at.
Right.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to point out that I haven't pointed it out, this is an artist, Cindy Sherman, who stages these. And her facial features and her expressions, I think, are fairly straightforward and neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's the objects around the picture that get us to really feel what the narrative is. And the objects are what's conveying what we feel this woman's life is about. Would you see that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Lenora, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.